Your morning coffee is about to cost more. A lot more. Not because the beans suddenly became gold, not because a new disease wiped out crops, but because Donald Trump just slapped a 50% tariff on Brazilian coffee. And that's Brazil, the single largest coffee producer on Earth. If you think this is just about a couple extra cents on your Starbucks latte, think again. This could change the entire coffee industry in America, and it's all happening right now. So here's the real question. Is this just a short-term political stunt? Or are we watching the start of a long, expensive battle that will hit every American who drinks coffee? From Wall Street bankers to working-class parents just trying to make it through the day? This video is for educational and social commentary purposes only. We're here to break down the facts, connect the dots, and ask why political decisions keep hitting ordinary Americans in their wallets. But before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us keep bringing you stories that actually matter to your wallet. Let's start with the timeline. On July 30th, 2025, Donald Trump signed an executive order slapping an extra 40% tariff on top of an existing 10% duty on Brazilian imports. That means a 50% total tax on products like coffee beans. It took effect August 6th. No warning, no grace period for businesses to adjust. Now, Brazil isn't just one of America's coffee suppliers. They're the king. Depending on the bean type, anywhere from 16% to 30% of America's imported coffee comes straight from Brazilian farms. You don't just replace that overnight, and the timing couldn't be worse. Coffee prices were already under pressure because of extreme weather in South America and global shipping bottlenecks. Arabica futures, the high-quality coffee beans, had hit record highs earlier this year. Layer a massive tariff on top of that, and you've got a perfect recipe for price spikes. Trump's camp is framing this as a tough-on-trade move, punishing Brazil over broader political disputes, including diplomatic snubs and what they call unfair market practices. But critics say this isn't strategy, it's spite, a way to score political points while ignoring the real economic fallout.
Local businesses are adjusting to the Trump administration's new tariff policy, but with a 50% tariff on Brazil now in effect, coffee imports could be heavily affected.
Let's bring this down from Washington's marble halls to the coffee shops on your corner.
We called one of our importers. We placed a 5,000-pound order for Brazilian coffee last week, our biggest order yet. And just to try to stave off some of this price increase that's going to start floating through.
Walker says prices right now are reasonable, but adds over the last 2 years, the price of coffee has doubled. It's pushed his business to raise their prices for the first time in 3 years.
They've been sourcing Brazilian beans for years, and now they're forced to either hike prices on loyal customers or eat the costs and bleed money.
We've set our entire budget based on the cost that we fixed, as we've done for years. 6-9 months later, suddenly that fixed cost is 50% higher. Any plans that we had become survival.
Over in Washington, D.C., Lost Sock Roasters co-owner Jeff Yerxa didn't mince words. He called the tariff a tax on Americans' mornings. His point is simple. This isn't just a business problem. It's a direct hit to everyday life, to that first cup of coffee that millions rely on to start the day. And it's not just these two shops. Across the country, cafes are bracing for impact. Business Insider reports that roasters from Oakland's The Crown to Illinois' The Wakery are already raising prices as their supply chains feel the crunch. Some are even cutting back on the types of beans they offer, a quiet cost that customers won't see on a receipt, but will definitely taste in their cups. While Americans brace for higher prices, Brazil isn't panicking. They're pivoting. Within days of the U.S. announcement, Brazil's trade officials started fast-tracking deals with China, the European Union, and even Middle Eastern markets to replace lost American demand. They're playing the long game, diversifying their buyers so they're never this vulnerable again. Meanwhile, the U.S. risks losing its position as a top coffee market. Once those long-term contracts shift overseas, it's incredibly hard to win them back. That means even if tariffs are lifted years from now, the damage could be permanent. And this isn't just about coffee. Tariffs like this can ignite trade wars. If Brazil responds with its own duties on U.S. exports, American farmers could be the next to feel the burn, just like they did during Trump's 2018 trade war with China, when soybean farmers saw their biggest buyer vanish overnight. So ask yourself, is this really about protecting American jobs? Or is it about flexing political muscle at the expense of ordinary Americans? Because here's the truth. Coffee doesn't care about politics. But coffee drinkers, they're about to pay the price. And once the tariffs are in place, they rarely come down as fast as they go up. We've seen this movie before, 2018, 2019, farmers in debt, prices soaring, and Washington calling it a win. But for the people actually living it, it doesn't feel like winning. It feels like paying for someone else's ego trip. What do you think? Is this a smart long-term play? Or another Trump-era policy that sounds tough but hits consumers hardest? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you've already seen price hikes at your local coffee shop or grocery store, share your story. And don't forget, subscribe for more deep dives into the headlines that actually hit your wallet.